Hello, my name is Francis Fox, and I'm a trained government remote viewer. All my psychic skills have been developed and honed and statistically analyzed. I was sent as a child to different parts of the world for training under very traumatic and abusive conditions. But I chose, prior to this incarnation, to be positioned to where I could learn the maximum about the other dimensions, but also how to use that information to make life better, which, in my opinion, is what it's all about. The spiritual aspect of us, which is everything that is not physical, has tremendous power, tremendous information, can be very entertaining and very distressing. But the reason to explore it and to use it is to use it as a tool to make your life better. So I'm actually really tired, but there's a couple of different things I need to say. The bad guys are extremely active. So I was on my Shopify platform, and that is where I have my store. And it, so I am, I don't even know what page I was on. I have to find out, go back and find out. But it turns out that somebody from MacDill Air Force Base has been into my Shopify page. MacDill Air Force Base is a military mind control Air Force Base. It's in Tampa. I was there when I was a child. And now they have 1 foot inside my store online. I will I thought that I was taking a screenshot, and what I ended up taking was a little movie, so I have to put it on several times for you to see. Um, Let me show you. Bad guys are sensitive. This is like, so it gets a little bit dizzy. Right inside MacDill Air Force Base, they are monitoring me, even my store. They have a hand in all of my bank accounts to where people say, but what's going on here? I can't even breathe. I can't walk out my door, and I'm getting a little bit tired, and I don't really see any relief. So, if anybody is listening, after 2 nights ago, or was it three? I don't know. The neighbor next door was there with radionics machines working me all night to the point that I became frightened that my brain would be fried. It wouldn't be any good for them or for me either, because they obviously don't want to kill me. They want to use my head. All that training, they want that. But they don't want me working for anybody else. Now, did they ever pay me? No. Would I have worked for them even if they paid me? No. Why did I work for them? Because of the same thing that's happening to the dictator of Venezuela. So this is really interesting. I'm doing my horoscopes yesterday. I was happy. I looked good. Everything was under control. And weird things start happening. I'm not able to see things. So I went, okay, so there's a wall. That doesn't happen to me when I do the horoscopes. And then I read for the I realized it by the time I had done Gemini, and I had reminded everybody that Trump is Gemini, and Geminis, and I'm half Gemini, are going through a tremendous transformation, releasing a really old depression from age 13. And I said, I'm struggling here. Um, Somebody did some incredibly sophisticated black magic, and then I continued, and I got to Libra. I got to Virgo, which is the new duly elected president. And I was able to do that one. It was not an issue. And then I get to Libra, which is next, which is the vice president duly elected of Venezuela. But she's the one, at least all my followers tell me that she's the one that is actually going to be the leader. And for some reason, she wasn't able to be nominated for president. So they put her as vice president. I said, something is really strange going on here. Meanwhile, I have company here in my office. I have the spirit of Rene de Villegas here that's been here for at least an hour. I'm a little bit tired. So he's particularly interested in this. So I go ahead and I have to go around a wall to be able to see. And then there's a stairway down in the other dimensions. This is the visualization that I get that gives me the information. And then the vice president of Venezuela is inside a sarcophagus. I went, wow, she's all tied up and she's inside a sarcophagus. So this is a type of spell work, black magic, where they bury you. I only know one person in like 30 or 40 years that I have been reading, whatever, longer than that actually, who uses sarcophagus in their black magic, and that is Rene de Villegas, the guy that works for the FBI, that lives in Miami, that I'm not sure if he's a little bit under Schiff or he's right next to Schiff in terms of priorities. He's the guy that has screwed half of Washington because he's a specialist in radionics machines. So I finished with Libra and I'm shaken. I went, how the hell? Now he's Rene de Villegas is very into Venezuela because for decades, the Cuban mafia that are the mercenaries for the deep state have used them in Venezuela and they've made a ton of money because deep state pays well. Whoever it is supposed to be taking care of me does not pay at all. Deep state pays well or lets all their people steal millions of dollars. Actually, he was put in jail because he stole millions of dollars from a small island. I don't remember the name of the island, but you can look it up on the internet. It's actually the only thing about him on the internet was he got put in jail because he gave a contract for an airport in a small island and then just stole the money. Okay, Rene de Villegas, FBI. And don't you anybody tell me you can't say that. Yes, I can say that because it's true. The FBI gave him huge checks every month, which he was supposed to distribute some of the money to people, and he didn't because he really is very selfish. So anyway, I finish with the astrological reading for the vice president of Venezuela today. She's the vice president today, duly elected. And I go to the next sign, which is Sagittarius, which is the dictator of Venezuela. Now, you know that Trump has been saying he's got to leave, and Trump told the OAS, get him out of there. And everybody in Venezuela, when I said he wants to leave, they've all said, yeah, we know he wants to leave. It's just group that doesn't let him leave. So the information that came out, but I'm telling you this for a reason. The information that came out was that he's being blackmailed, that his family is going to be murdered if he leaves Venezuela. If he leaves Venezuela, his family is going to get murdered. These are not the duly elected president and vice president that are telling him that. They want him out. The Venezuelans want him out. Trump wants him out. I want him out. Who doesn't want him out? The people that want disorder, the people that love war. So here's the trick. There's two things. Number one, YouTube took that piece out of the video. And this restream took it out of the video. The piece, not the one from the vice president that was Libra, but the Sag thing. They only left the end. They didn't put the part where the guy in Venezuela, the dictator, Maduro, wants to leave. But if he leaves, they murder his family. So then you have military boats in the Caribbean, got to get this guy out. And I am afraid somebody's going to trigger an incident and we're going to invade Venezuela. And it turns out that all of us want the same thing, which is for him to leave. He wants to leave. But there's a group of people, the group of people from the Bay of Pigs, that group, the Cuban mafia, that group, that is still totally operational. The spirit of Renee is here in my house. And I don't really care if you don't believe me, because eventually you'll understand why Scientology can produce such powerful people, because of this kind of information, other dimensional. So I didn't sleep last night because we could end up in a war. So our president, the president nominated for a Peace Prize, is going to end up with a huge war because there are people that have decades of experience in manipulation and setting it up to where the good people go at each other. I'm not saying Maduro's a good person. I'm saying that right now everybody has the same intention, except a particular group of people, and I have got to identify Rene de Villegas as that because he had fought tooth and nail to maintain control over me because he used to use me to read the natural resources in Venezuela so that his group could go in and rape Venezuela in terms of the natural resources. They don't want order. They do not want order. They want disorder. And they're going to screw up Trump's peace, the president of peace, because they want disorder, because they're greedy, because they're experts at it. They're going to set up an incident. By the way, remember Kennedy and Cuba and the missile crisis? That was a setup. Kennedy knew, and everybody knew except the public, that there were missiles in Cuba. Everybody had photographs of it. But they put it out publicly, and then Kennedy had to do something. And then we had the missile crisis, which probably wasn't such a big crisis, even though we all thought it was, because he already had that information. But he got set up, and he got set up with the Bay of Pigs too. They set him up. They said, you know what? We're going to ram this down his throat, the president's throat, and we are Cuban mafia, which is controlled by the deep state. Got it? You have to listen to that part of it. And thank God Kennedy stood his ground. So, the next statement that I have is very accurate, but I can't say it. So, I didn't sleep last night. I was doing healings, I was doing whatever. Not anything that goes against people's free will. When you do a purification, you're not going against people's free will. You're clearing something that's not theirs. And if they knew it was theirs, they would have taken care of it. So I'm exhausted today, and I am afraid because this group of people, they are so savvy. They know how to set things up, and then all the rest of us have to pay the consequence. So the dictator of Venezuela, astrologically, the information came out from an expert remote viewer that everybody's fighting to control me because I'm so good. He's being blackmailed. Murder his kids if he leaves Venezuela. If he stays in Venezuela, and the people don't know that, somebody's going to create enough of an incident that we're going to have to go and save the Venezuelans. You don't have to save the Venezuelans. They won a legitimate election. The guy wants to leave. You have to find out, whoever you are, who it is that is blackmailing his family. And how does that get taken care of so the poor man can leave and Venezuela can exercise their free will? Now, Venezuela is not just Venezuela. It's supposed to be the richest country on the planet. It has minerals that ETs want. So it's a great opportunity to negotiate with ETs for something that they want with a decent group of people rather than the god awful, greedy people that have manipulated US politics for a long time. We have looked so bad because of these people. So bad. How did they remain that strong? Well, I told you they use black magic that is extremely powerful. And Rene de Villegas, his specialty is Egyptian black magic. Now, another thing, Rene is from New Jersey. Egypt, New Jersey, the Menendez senator. He married somebody from Egypt. Do you think that's a coincidence? No. Check out the Covens in New Jersey. Huh. Check them out. But before that, get this thing with Venezuela taken care of because Venezuela has a lot to do with the ascension process of the planet. Venezuela has a duly elected president and vice president, which is not that usual in Latin America or any other places. Look what happened to us here. Let's not be on our high horses and say, oh, no, that's in the other countries. No, 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 no. Look what they did to Trump. So Venezuela can set a pattern for the new world if there's a graceful transition. of power from the dictator to the duly elected. The dictator wants to leave. He's wanted to leave forever. And it may be our own people in the United States that are not letting him leave because they need a mess in order to be able to go ahead and have a war. Goodbye, peace prize. Goodbye, all this talk about not having war. So somebody has to do some digging. Somebody, what the hell is this guy still hanging out? Well, his spirit is hanging out here. I don't know where his physical body is. There is an issue that too many people are not spiritually sophisticated. And the ones that are with bad intentions basically have created what we have in the United States and in other places, which is a country that's into massive sex trafficking, child trafficking, drugs, murders. And you've got these guys running circles around everybody because they have so much information from the other dimensions, which the Nazis did also. They get help from the ETs. Renee was the one who set up that incident in Miami. Was it this year or last year? I don't know. I'm in a fog, literally out of my frightened and upset. I haven't sat down and shared a meal for anybody for over a year and some. I can't walk out my door. Anyway, this is not about me. Renee was the one who set that incident. I think it was the 1st of January in downtown Miami with the ETs. He was the one who set that up. Was it holograms? What was it? Was it real ETs? I don't know. Why don't you pick him up and grill it out of him? He's also a specialist in psychotronic weapons. So he puts everybody to sleep. He knows how to put entire cities asleep. Mm. So I am watched so carefully that they watch my horoscopes. But a lot of countries watch my horoscopes, a lot of powerful people. We don't believe in any of that because we're modern. No, you don't believe in any of that because you've been blocked. Well, there's no science. 5,000 years of science. Observe and draw conclusions. Look at the scientists that come from Harvard and Yale. Look at what they've done to us. Look at the scientists in the health department, what they've done to us. Science is observe and draw conclusions. 5,000 years of science on the influence of the planets on human beings. Even the farmers, they farm according to the phases of the moon because they know that if they don't, they're not going to have any crops. Well, you should do the same thing. Let's go over the map and then let's call it quits. I'm tired. I'm irritable. I think I'm frightened that we're not going to win, that we're going to go ahead and invade Venezuela. Well, that's not such a big deal. Look at all that we get. Yes, it is a big deal because it sets a pattern. And it's the person that invades, which of course would be the United States. Basically, the vibration is going to drop dramatically. And this is for Trump. Trump, you have so many people in your military. You have so many people in your military, so many big guys. You think they want peace? No. No, 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 no. That's why I said you cannot. It's great to be a good military person and a general and you're really great at war. You cannot put them in a place where you want peace because that's contrary to their intentions, which is to protect, 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 protect. And Trump, your intention is prosperity. Angelic, oh, this is a compliment for you, Trump. And people that are angelic consciousness, all of Venezuela, Trump, a lot of people, significant number of people on planet Earth, they're not really good with numbers and they're not really good with money. Trump, you're angelic and you're great with money. That's a great thing. That's a great example. Like Elon Musk is poster boy for what business should look like now. You broke a pattern and that helps everybody else, which is why we cannot have anything but a good pattern with the transition of power in Venezuela because it sets a pattern like a mold. And then free will kind of gets thrown away. Okay, let's go to the maps. I'm just going to put up a couple more times. MacDill Air Force Base has 1 foot, hand, or completely in my store. They have their computer open. I don't know how long it was open, but it was longer than 5 minutes. And I have some weird stuff that goes on there. I also got dropped by a credit card company, but I have great credit and we have zero returns. But that credit card company was run or worked with some CIA guys. And I suspect that they're feeling like they don't really want stuff investigated and want to be there. It was kind of funny. I was thinking, why would a credit card company drop me? I'm like perfect. Average ticket extremely high, no returns, no issues. Interesting. And there's going to be, by the way, there's going to be like a riot around here in a couple of days. I hope, Trump, because there's so many cameras in my home. And I know there's at least one neighbor that is desperate to get in here to pull out the cameras that they put here. But everybody has cameras inside my house. So when things get really bad for the bad guys and really good for me, there's going to be a riot with everybody trying to come in to pull out their cameras, which is why I said you should do camera share, you do ride share, and you do those timeshares. Why don't you do camera shares? FBI, CIA, but there's different departments in the FBI. Okay, but you can still go share the goddamn cameras. This is only 800 feet apartment. I'm not joking when I'm telling you, darn, I need that there's a probably two neighbors that are Cuban. Okay, I'm Cuban. It's not about Cubans. It's about a particular group of Cubans who bought the story that the world would end if Castro wasn't killed. You know, he's already dead. What are we doing now? What's the excuse? This is a whole military thing. You get used to it. You have to keep going. You can't just drop it. The guy died. Okay, so they don't even want Cuba open, by the way, because then they won't get any more funding from the US government. If there's freedom, they have no money. Okay, let's go to the maps. I'm going to go to the Pacific. Now we are in an ascension process, and today's an eclipse. And the dolphins told me that 8 weeks from today, you will know your position in the ascension process. Things will be either like, wow, this is really nice, everything that's happening, and you'll know that you ascended, or you will be like, what? Everything's violent. I can't stand it. I don't want to live. In 8 weeks from today. So you'll check it out. So I'm going to do McDonald's a couple more times. Back between the cameras and all the surveillance. Let's shine some light on them. So here we go. The Pacific. Remember the other day there was some ripple effect on the United States, and I said I wanted to check it. Oh, look how interesting. I haven't even had time to think. Okay. You have a spiraling clockwise, which is an ascension. It's the ascension process. And it's blue, which is good. And it says portal to Jupiter. And I did put ascension. I didn't even remember that because I did this who knows when. Um, I'm very uncomfortable having the spirit of Rene de Villegas in my house because now we're gonna cut this chat and I'm gonna get stuck with him here. Okay, so that is a portal and it is creating a ripple effect and it's a great color. And it says to Jupiter, which is a planet that gives really good things. So this is like not a bad thing. By the way, the dolphins told me that portal was going to be decisive in the ascension process. And that portal was going to decide whether you were going to get completely trashed and end up in a world devastated by catastrophes or you were going to elevate. And that portal right now is very active. And we got the eclipse that has to do with the ascension process. And we're in the ascension process, which we've been told about for 5,000 years. So it's pretty important what's going on in the Pacific. But wait, what was going on? And then you have the same thing. No, you have the opposite direction, but green in the United States. No, in the Gulf of America. And what does that mean? Green is the color of the heart. It's the color of grounding. It's the color of money. It's not bad, but it's really an indication of tremendous stability on the physical dimension, tremendous stability economically. So it's good. So here is the United States. Okay, so this is the green that you saw on the other map, and here's the blue from the portal. And the United States is vibrating, grounding pink, the energy of love, angelic. This is good. Canada gone, and there's an eclipse, and that's it. So, my astrology having to do with the dictator in Venezuela is so important to people who know a lot and have controlled this country horribly that they took it out of the videos on YouTube and also here on Restream. They didn't take it out of the Spanish version, they took it out in the English version. And what have I been telling you? These guys, and it's not the Cubans, this group are mercenaries for the deep state. They don't care what the Hispanics know. It's the Anglos. They don't want you guys to become spiritually sophisticated. They don't want for the thing with Venezuela to come out and for everybody to say, wow, she said that. Maybe I should look into this astrology. It might help me. And by the way, this eclipse was the eclipses a couple years ago crisscrossed over Texas. And that meant pay attention, which we've done a lot of clearings and whatever. Wherever it is that you can see the eclipse, that area is going to be affected. The United States is one of the few places on the planet that is not, you can't see the eclipse from here, which means that the hard work is already done, Trump. It's already done. We don't need to get beaten up. Like when, the separation of the wheat from the chaff, I think it's called in the Bible, where they shake it and the stuff you don't need falls out. We don't need that. So, when my nose, I don't have a cold. I don't have allergies. But when my nose starts to do that, it means I'm saying really important things, and the spirits do not want me to say it. So they start to battle. And remember, we all have a big portal here. So that is it. What do we do about McGill University? Now, this is McGill University. No, this is MacDill Air Force Base, Tampa, Florida. It's a mind control base. I was there. And they've had if you look up Tampa and put in paranormal, you will find the most fascinating things that have happened there. Not a coincidence. And MacDill, that's the base. McGill is the university in Canada that the CIA was partnering with, doing experiments having to do with mind control. Our potential vice president, potentially, she might run for president, Kamala, went to that university. Is that a coincidence? I don't know, but it's certainly very interesting. So that's it. Thank you for listening. Those of you that have any ability to take care of any of this stuff, it would be deeply appreciated. And everybody who has cameras inside my home, what you can do is make an appointment. Like when you're going to see real estate, you call the real estate agent, you make an appointment, and we'll give you an appointment, and you can come in and you can take out all your cameras, and I won't take any pictures of you. I already know who you are. Not good. Okay. Thank you for listening. And this is turned into a podcast on Spotify and Apple called Francis Fox News from Other Dimension. And it is my desire that this country become spiritually sophisticated. The truth of the matter is that the United States has always had good intentions. And people will tell you that across the world. Americans are good people. A little bit dumb, but that's because they're spiritually unsophisticated. They think used to. Everybody's great. What about the dark side? No, well, it's great. No, it's not. In the United States, by the way, when I was allowed to speak in the 90s about my life, and I started to get together with groups that did healings and Reiki, and I went into shock. All they talked about were angels. Well, okay. And then I could read, and I could read spirits. But they didn't like that. They loved my readings, but not if I said anything negative. Well, you can't do life without looking at the negative. And that's one of the big issues with the United States. We didn't want to look at the negative. We wanted to believe. And look where it got us. Look where it got us. So I would get invited years ago. Uh, oh, Francis, would you come join us? And I just want you to read for these people a little bit because they're not familiar. You're so good. And I remember the last time I did that. Yeah, sure. I didn't get paid. That was not important. And they had finished the whole weekend and they wanted me to read. And so I said to a guy, well, no, his leg is bothering him. I said, okay. I said, you have an issue with your father and there's a spirit attached because and they were like, what? I said, well, that's how come your leg is not working. Well, no, that's not what I'm looking for. I want to know what I'm supposed to do. Can I do something? What do you think I should do about my leg? I said, I think you need to release that spirit. The woman who invited me was furious. She said, Francis, you're ruining the weekend. I said, no, you told me to tell them, and I'm telling them what it is. So, you know what? Don't ask me again. Well, look, the guy's all upset. He's upset at the truth. Yes, he is because he never got anything but heart, angels, and maybe that's the problem with what do they call them? The liberal Karens, the women that are all, and this is the way it's supposed to be. They're not real. And in this country, we haven't been real spiritually, but there has been a plan to keep the Anglos, not the Hispanics, because the Hispanics, even in this country, they already know, but the Anglos to keep them dumbed down, having to do with the other dimensions. You too. Take that information out of the English horoscopes. I also do it in Spanish. And they have people that follow me, that check me in YouTube in Spanish. They didn't take it out of there. It's still there in Spanish. It's not there in English. And it's obvious when you look at it in English, you go, she skipped something. She went from Libra, now all of a sudden she's talking about Sag, but she didn't introduce Sag. They took a piece out because they don't want the Anglos to know. What are you going to do about it? Become more spiritually sophisticated. Widen your lens. Don't buy everything I'm selling and anybody's selling, but open your lens. Take it in. All the powerful civilizations throughout history have been very powerful in terms of metaphysics. And maybe we'll stop going to things like pyramids and going, gee, I wonder what that is. Maybe that's a black magic ritual. Are you kidding me? They were experts. You don't like it? Okay, well, why don't you put on your rose-colored glasses and let's go to war with Venezuela? Because look, that man is god awful. This mother is god awful. The whole world knows the election was won by the other people. They won't let him leave. They're saying they'll kill his family. Okay, come on. Okay, bye.